No. I just go play my arm without clothes.
Oh, you must.
Go without that.
Dr. G.
It's time to dedicate the equal Bible study. Take this opportunity to welcome everyone here. We certainly do appreciate your presence. Again, if you're joining us online, we want you to know we appreciate you. We're online each Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. each Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m. And as we continue to say, if you know someone who might benefit from our online service, please help us to spread the word. Everyone would secure a songbook and turn to page 549. That'll be the first song in just a moment under the direction of Brother Ronnie. We certainly want to continue to remember all of those that I mentioned Sunday that's on the sick list. A quick update on Circle. Gloria Greenhall. Gloria will be going back to Tupelo in the morning to undergo surgery again. I think she said y'all have to be there at 7:30 or 6:30. Anyway, in the morning, and this apparently this surgery is going to be a little more serious than the ones that she's had in the past, and she may wind up having to stay overnight this time. So if you would please remember Gloria, and also Gary Clausell and Joan both did have COVID. They got the infusion, and both of them are doing good at this time, but they'll have to stay quarantined for just a few days. So keep them in your prayers as well. And this coming Monday, I'm supposed to go back to Jackson to the skin cancer doctor, and you would keep me in your prayers. I pray that this time that I don't have any places that has to be removed, especially if I do not around my eye anyway. Part of them trying to cut my eye. But anyway, you would remember me in that respect. And is there anyone else that I've overlooked I need to make mention of?
My niece had surgery today. She got a good report.
I'm sorry?
My niece had surgery today. She got a good report.
Okay, all right. Well, then, niece got a good report today. We're thankful for that. And also, Junior, he got a good report today as well on the blockages that's in his neck. And so forth, and we're thankful for that. Hope and pray that Junior continues to improve. I know he's improving because he's out working. He never stops. So anyway, we're glad he did get a good report. Is anyone else that I've overlooked? Okay. The ladies want you to save all of your paper cubes that's in your paper towel. They want you to save those cubes and bring them and make a deal for a project that they're going to be doing. So if you would, please save your paper towel cubes, bring them. And also, don't forget about the VBS, June the 11th. Fearless is this year's theme. And of course, we will be serving pizza. And if you would, if the ladies, if you would, please bring some sweets of some kind. Anyway, we'll be serving pizza and sweets, and keep that in mind. And also, the lock-in for the teenagers July the 12th here at the building, and June the 16th. We'll get together over at Judy and Eugene's for all of the teenagers. And be sure to bring a friend. Keep that in mind. That's June the 16th. I believe that's Saturday week, right? Anyway, June 16th. Saturday? Oh, it's on a Thursday, okay? Thursday week, right? This is a week before, you know. Anyway, that's June the 16th. So keep that in mind, young people. Also, ladies, the 21st, the 20th is your get together at Meet Toro, 5:30 p.m. So keep that in mind as well. Of course, this coming Sunday is our first Sunday fellowship meal over the building. I'm right about that. It is Sunday. Okay. Here, don't forget about the river bank. Anyway, that is Sunday, so keep that in mind as well. Anything else that I've left out? All right, we've got a bunch of people that's on their birthday and anniversary. Talk about them Sunday. And then we'll talk about them Sunday. But if you don't want your birthday talked about Sunday, you might want to miss Sunday. Talk about that. Order of worship tonight, Brother Ronnie be leading us sing. John, you have the opening prayer. I have the closing prayer. If you're all right.
minutes, all three verses, 5-4 minutes. Listen. There is sunshine in my soul today, more glorious and bright than glows in any earthly sky. For Jesus is my life. Oh, there's sunshine, blessed sunshine, Father, peaceful, happy moments roll. When Jesus shows his smiling face, there is sunshine in my soul. There is music in my soul today, a carol to my King. And Jesus, listening, can hear the songs I cannot sing. Oh, there's sunshine, blessed sunshine, Father, peaceful, happy moments roll. When Jesus shows his smiling face, there is sunshine in my soul. There is gladness in my soul today, and hope and praise and love. For blessings which he gives me now, for joys laid up above. Oh, there's sunshine, blessed sunshine, Father, peaceful, happy moments roll. When Jesus shows his smiling face, there is sunshine in my soul.
Our dear most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this day. We thank you for all the blessings that you give to us each and every day. Father, we thank you so much for this opportunity that we have to come together to study your word, to receive edification from each other, to build each other up so that we can go back out into our weeks and face the world. The world is so it tends to be more negative each and every day. And Father, we ask that you will be with us, help us to build each other up. Help us to be stewards to each other. Help us to be stewards of your word as we get ready to go back out into our day-to-day walk of life. And Father, we ask that you'll be with each of us here this evening and help us to be attentive students to your word. Help us to be able to take something that's said and done here this evening and apply it to our lives so that we can better serve you and serve our communities. And Father, we ask that you'll be with all of the efforts that we're getting ready to partake in here. Be with our upcoming VBS. Help us to make sure that it's a success. And Father, we ask that you be with all of those other things that we have planned in the near future. And Father, we ask that you'll forgive us of all our sins. In Christ's holy name we pray. Amen. Sounds too free. You can see me too, girl. I'm not very nice. I have got that we are at the top of page 71. We've actually been there for a couple of weeks, but we really didn't get into the bulk of our lesson last week, largely because there were some other events that were happening, and I felt like that would be an appropriate time to kind of talk about those. And I do appreciate your patience as those things are, when they're on our minds collectively. I think it's a good idea to take time to speak about it, because how else are we going to process those kind of things? And this is the best place to work through some of those things that, when we have questions about the way that things are done or how the situations that we're facing, there's no better group of people to have those discussions with. And so I do appreciate your patience. I appreciate your graciousness as we did that last week. I didn't want to turn it into a political discussion, and I think we did well by avoiding that. But I do think we do need to continue to especially pray for those the families of all of those involved. And we need to pray for the direction of our country right now too, because it seems like there's a snowball effect going on, and I haven't been able to really get into it and study what's happened yet, but apparently there was another one just a little while ago. So I don't know. I don't understand it. Okay, so number 4, we're at the top of page 71, and the bulk of the idea of this this lesson, this chapter that we're studying right now, it's on the idea of mission work, right? And it's on the idea of how we are to reach those people who are primarily the biggest part of what this is trying to talk about is what? This chapter. Let's talk about it. The chapter itself. The whole chapter. It's what? Okay. Yeah, it's mission work, right? Okay. It's talking little picture and it's talking big picture too, right? And it talks about who it is that's supposed to do that. And a lot of the things that we've seen here, a lot of the things that we've discussed in this chapter more specifically, I haven't heard too many arguments against some of the things that are positioned here. We've had chapters where we didn't always agree with the author. We're approaching these things from a completely different perspective, because we're 50 years later than when this was written. So we're going to have a different perspective on a lot of things. But here, when we look at number 4 here, it's talking this part of this passage, this part of this chapter here, I guess, it's talking about the idea of sending more preachers into the mission fields, or even just teachers into the mission fields. And it's given us a really strong perspective of, what did we talk about before? We talked about other denominations, other Christian religions that are doing what? Sending more than we are. Being more involved in mission work than we are. And this It's kind of sad, isn't it? Because we have this, what do we have? We have the command to do it, but it's also, I mean, even if you took the command away from it, okay, we've got the means, we pay for the internet, so we can upload to YouTube 3 times a week, 2 times a week, and then what? Okay? But the truth is that what do we have? What is the thing that we have? We have the truth, okay? And it's gift wrapped and it's handed to us, and what do we do with it? We sit on it. And we don't do anything. And that's really kind of the point, I think, of what we're looking at here, and especially number 4. It says, far too long have you been guilty of little thinking. Now, is there anything wrong with thinking small? Not necessarily. There's nothing wrong with it. But when we're talking about, this is kind of one of those things where I don't know that I agree 100% with his perspective here, because something that I think is important to understand. Okay, this is Wendell Winkler. He is a very famous. Well, I think there's been a couple of Wendell Winklers. I think I've heard the son speak, and he's got a couple sons too. But I think it was Bill, if I'm not mistaken, that looked this guy up, and he was the Wendell Senior, and so he was likely the one that wrote this book 50 years ago. And so it was being a really popular minister. What happens? When you're really popular, what happens? A lot of people want to listen to what you got to say. And so you'll have larger congregations approaching you with dynamic speaker. Right? That's what happens. Okay. And so this guy here, he would have been a dynamic speaker. He would have had a much larger congregation. Okay, so his perspective is going to be slightly biased, and it's going to be skewed more toward that larger congregation perspective, right? Okay, he's not thinking of Fraley's Chapel. He's not thinking of 2022. Okay, so the general idea is not bad, he's not wrong, but not everything is going to apply. Okay? So looking here, it says we should expect great things from God and attempt great things for God. Okay? Is he wrong? Yeah, that's it. Well, we should attempt great things. We should expect great things, but the level of greatness is going to vary. Right? Okay, the great things that we can attempt here are not going to be the same great things that, say, there's a large church in South Haven, Olive Branch. There's a 400 to 500 person congregation there. Okay, got 36. Okay, those great things it's going to vary. The application is going to be different. Okay, all right. So.
Because he is a dynamic speaker, I can sort of even somewhere and I said, all of a sudden,
Yeah.
But it had to be repetitive, man, where we went.
Yeah.
Following, possibly following him.
I think that a lot of that has to do too. It's very similar to the situation that what we're talking about on Sunday mornings in our study of the Corinthians. Because what did they do? That's the very thing that they were accused of, is following all. Right. So I mean, it's not a new idea. It's not a new idea. So I think that what you're saying, it does happen. And I think that because of that, some people are misled. At the same time, though, it's not really an excuse, because even if a person is misled up to a point, what happens? You take on a certain level of responsibility yourself. Right. So, and I think ultimately that's kind of the point of what Paul is trying to say in Corinthians 2, right? He's saying it's not about me, it's about your relationship with Christ. So, and that's a good point. So, it says we should think big, plan big, and act big. Okay? And again, that's something that's going to vary from congregation to congregation. What's big? Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They're gonna do a lot more than a lot of rounds.
Mm-hmm.
We can be doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
What we're doing.
No, you're right. You're right.
It's not always, they do know,
Mm-hmm.
but they should just know.
Yeah. But at the same time, what is it that our, okay, so, yeah.
If we see somebody that needs help,
Mm-hmm.
that's doing that.
What are some things that, I mean, let's think about it this way. What are some things that we do here that maybe other congregations don't do as much of?
Sick,
What's that?
feeding the sick.
Feeding the sick? Okay, that's a good one. Okay. If somebody's down, what do? We try to help, right? Okay. What else?
They just let people use the fellowship.
Okay.
We do that a lot.
Yeah.
I got friends in the secular world, there was a church, they had to rent.
They've had to rent.
They had to rent.
Mm-hmm.
Sessions, and
Yeah.
anniversary.
Okay.
Outside of our church.
Yeah. We did that a couple months ago. Yeah. There was a lady that died, and some people were familiar with her, and so we let them use the fellowship. Okay.
Part of the size of the congregation.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think another couple of things too that I think are really great works that happen here. That I know for a fact that there are larger congregations that do not do this. Our clothing giveaway. When we have a clothing giveaway, before COVID, we've done the 2 or 3, right? And we started doing it on a regular basis. Then COVID derailed that for a little bit. Done another one since, right? Okay. And then what else? What's another good thing that we do that other congregations don't?
We need to stop that.
That I'm not sure about. When COVID hit, we didn't stop any support for missionaries. Okay. What about Oh yeah. Oh, I know. There's a lot of benevolent work that happens here. Yeah. That not everybody is aware of. It happens. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. Larger congregations are going to be less likely to do that. I've seen it happen. Sure. Another great thing is that we do that some larger congregations do not do is lads to leaders. I've seen some congregations with some really large youth groups that really don't do anything. And I think that, lads is a great way to get young people involved. I think that those are experiences that they're not going to forget. So I think that's a great way that we, as a smaller congregation, are able to make larger waves, right? Okay. And what are waves? Ripple, right?
Most of our congregation
That doesn't. Okay.
One thing, quick for yourself.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. We're an exceptionally generous congregation. That's very true. Okay. Mary made a statement that I'm not going to wade off into too much. I know. It won't be long. But it's not too long. That's the point. That's the thing. Is that okay. So that's a good point. As an educator, okay, one of the things that we're often taught by other educators and people who make a lot more money than I do. Okay, think about when you guys went to school, all those many years ago. Walked uphill both ways, right? Barefoot. Okay. So, all right. Think about when you went to school. Okay, and then think about the school now. Okay. Let me ask you this. Okay. Like Mary, since you said it, I'm going to ask you a question. Yes, you can. It's easy. I'm not going to ask you a school question. Okay. I'm just going to ask you. Okay. Did you, when you went to school, did you have a math book? Math book. No, not a math book. A Mac book. Mac. Like a laptop computer. Did you have it? Okay. All right. So because they weren't a thing. They really weren't a thing. Okay. And so now, okay. So Tommy, did Abby have a Mac book? She had a Mac book that she could use for whatever she needed to, right? Okay. So education changes, right? Okay. Or I think about some of those more seasoned educators, okay, who've been teaching for 25, 35 years. Okay, how much has education changed since then? Right? So, what have those teachers had to do over that period of time? They have to train. They have to evolve. Okay? They have to constantly be learning. Okay? If they're going to keep up, they got to keep learning. Okay? Yes.
This is it really said we're told
Absolutely.
When you're people like that, I mean, you understand what I'm telling you?
Yeah.
It's not like you're teaching a class where somebody knows. That's a wonderful.
It's a great situation to be in, but then it raises the question. I hope you do. I hope you do. Okay. It raises the question, how many people have taught this class in the past 4 years? No. In the auditorium, how many people have had a regular class in the auditorium? Yeah, one guy. Okay. Before me, it was him. I think you and Phil flip flop something like that. Okay.
It's gonna be large. Okay, you'll find that easy.
You'll find a few, but you'll also have other people who will rotate in and out. Okay. How many people? Right. So let's not say a classroom, because teaching a class can be difficult. There's prep work that goes into that. What about a 2-minute devotional on Wednesday night? How many people do that? We've got 5. Okay. 36 people. Okay. Not everybody's supposed to do that. That's understandable. I don't know. But I've gone to congregations where it was a regular thing, where there was a rotation. Like in a congregation full of, it had maybe 200 people, okay, larger congregation, okay, I might get to do a devotional twice a year, because there was a rotation of people who would do the devotions, and it's maybe twice a year, okay, and how many weeks is that? Right. So
you had 26 out of 200.
this maybe, again, remember that too. Okay. This 25% of the people there that are doing the weekly devotion.
Way we teach.
Yeah. No, that's true. But the point that I do I
Where we teach, I guess.
yeah. And I think that's the point too, though. I think ultimately that's the point that I was trying to get to, is that, okay, it's not a bad thing to step outside of our comfort zones. It's not. Okay? And it's hard to do that. It's incredibly hard to step outside of our comfort zone. It's not fun. Okay? Standing up, leading, singing is not something that I ever enjoyed. Okay? It wasn't fun for me. Okay? I've done it out of necessity. Okay? Because Bobby said, "Hey, you're going to lead a song tonight." And I was like, "Okay, all right, great, fine, I'll do it." But anyway, this kind of the whole point here is that, hey, thinking big, that kind of starts on an individual level, doesn't it? It starts for each one of us. Okay, we have to think bigger than we are. Okay, now what does that mean? For some of us, it means that maybe I need to expand those things that I think I'm good at. Okay, I can remember back a long time ago when I was in college, there was this guy that stood up and he gave a devotional, and it was one of the best devotionals. I don't remember what it was about because it was 20 plus years ago, but I remember that he gave one of the best devotionals that I've ever heard. And he got down and he said he's never doing it again because it made him too nervous. But it was one of the best, and everybody went up to him and said, "Hey, you did a fantastic job. You did a fine job." He ended up doing it again. But sometimes it's a matter of expanding those things that we're super comfortable with and stepping outside of that box for just a minute, long enough to experience something a little different. It makes us nervous, and we don't like to be nervous. But those are things that we can do that when we're small, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very fortunate.
I'm going to say that.
We have a lot more.
We do have a lot of moral support, which is good. I received a lot of moral support when I led singing. So, hey, that's a good attempt. But no, there are things that we can do that put us more out there in the community, right? Okay? I think that the clothing giveaway is a great thing to do. I think the Lads to Leaders, that's a way for us to do that. I think VBS is a great opportunity for us to be out there in the community, for people to hear about who we are and what we do. And again, it's planting a seed that we don't know necessarily where we'll ever see fruit from.
There's another thing that most people probably don't know that unless it's like class, we probably the dollar. And probably each year we have 5 or 6 children clothes or with Christmas.
Yeah.
From that.
Okay.
And in the past, I'd like to do a bulletin or something so they know where it comes from.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know those children
Yeah.
That somebody cared about.
Sure. Yeah, and that's another good thing too. And so basically what we're saying here is that mission work can take a variety of different appearances, right? Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of outreach. So when we're talking about Pray This Thinking Big, we do a good job, right? Okay. They do. And she also said that the guys don't volunteer enough. No. She's also said she said the guys do not volunteer enough. Okay. Cook the pizza? Randy found that as funny as I did. You don't want me cooking.
But John, you have to challenge yourself.
You do.
I have to challenge myself. And if I think I was right on,
Yeah.
I just probably I do it. And I don't know if I can get credit for it or not, but I have to force myself. But you won't ever do anything. Challenge yourself.
That's true, and a lot of times too, it's not. Those things aren't about credit. It's about how can I be better tomorrow than I am today? How can I be better today than I was yesterday? What have I done to expand my horizon a little bit to see, how far I can go or what I can do?
Donna didn't want to do it either.
Do it. I mean, it's true. Yeah, absolutely. What's that?
I said Jonah didn't want to do it either.
Jonah didn't want to do it either. He complained the entire time, didn't he? Until it started to smell too much like fish. Yeah. They did not. They didn't. Absolutely. Okay. We should think big, plan big, and act big. Okay. So I think we do a good job of some of that. I think the one thing that if we were to pick one of those that we could do better. What do you think?
See?
Yeah.
Charity is one.
Yes. That's a good point. And I'll be honest, that's something that I fall out. And a lot of that's because I'm not here local. And that's an excuse. It's not a good reason. It's an excuse. But that's something that we could do that would be more of, that's an outreach, isn't it? Because is it just Shelley that sees that? It's not. It's anybody else that might visit Shelley. It'd be anybody else that sees the car pull up and spend 30 minutes visiting. or an hour, or however long you have to visit. You know?
Sending the cards yourself, not a group, or
Mhm.
you, and Ryan Melody.
Yeah. It does. That's an excellent point. I think that something that I think we maybe as a congregation could do better, if we're looking at these three things, we're looking at thinking big, planning big, and acting big. I think we do a pretty good job of thinking big. I think we do a good job of acting big. I think if we were to look at it, we could plan. And a lot of that has to do with just how, I guess maybe just how busy we all are. And again, that's an excuse, it's not a good reason. But I think that one thing that we could do as far as, the vacation Bible is a good protocol. Because that's in a week and a half. Okay? And I'll wear some of that too. I mean, how much planning have we done going into it? To be honest, pick the topic and we pick some books out. Started planning. It's a good idea. It's a big idea. We're going to act like we're bigger than plans. I don't know. That's just, me being, looking at myself, What's our number? Eight. It does. I can see what you're saying. I see that. Yeah. Well, I don't think that's. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Bring that up next week. No, I want you to. Because, that's a good point. Our, I'll give them just a couple minutes. We got the teenage class minutes. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Don't worry.
No, I understand. I did. Yeah, but I understand.
Need some more.
No, it's hard to do.
Keep working the track.
Stand outside a little bit.
Oh, yeah. All right. So I've got our song of invitation this evening is going to be 988, 988. Over the past little while on Wednesday nights, we've been talking a lot about the mission work that we're supposed to do, and the preaching of the gospel and the Great Commission. And all of that entails that we're instructed. We're told that that we're to do work. Now, our job, we have a job as Christian people, is to do work. And that's not really a word that we like a whole lot. The idea of work, and every day when we wake up, there's always some kind of work that we have to do, and because of that, it carries a certain negative connotation. And work could be anything from working at a job to working at school, or even working around the house. Or some people, sometimes we just feel like we have to work just to get through the day. And no matter what task it is that we have in front of us, we have a chance to choose how we're going to approach that task or that work, and we have to decide as to whether or not we're going to put our effort into it, or we're going to put a certain level of perseverance into it, so that we can achieve a good result, or are we going to put in the bare minimum or of what's expected without putting very much effort into it at all. Well, Colossians chapter 3 and verse 23 and 24, it says, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving." This passage, it tells us that we're to work with our whole heart, like we're serving the Lord, and that's in anything that we do. If we're working in a field, or if we're working in a store, or if we're working in a classroom, whatever the case might be, we're supposed to put our whole heart into it so that we can achieve that end goal. And when we do something, we should be putting the best foot forward. We should be putting our effort into it so that we can achieve a good result. And we need to keep in mind that we're not necessarily doing this for other people or for ourselves, but we're doing it so that we can have a good reputation. And that good reputation is a reflection of our relationship with God, and it be to His glory. 1 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 6, it says there are different kinds of work, but in all of them and in every one, it is the same God at work. Every one of us, we all have our own unique God-given talents. We all have things that we're good at. We all have jobs that we're supposed to do, even within a congregational setting. And it means that not everybody is going to have the same talent. Not everybody's going to be good at the same thing or in the same way. But some people may be good at interacting with others, and some people may be good at working with some people, and some people might be better at working behind the scenes. But regardless of all of that, we do know that it's the same God at work. Regardless of what our talents are, we know that we are a reflection of Him. And God can use us for His purposes if we give Him an opportunity. No matter what our talents are, no matter what our occupation is, if we're willing to let Him work through us, we will be that good reflection. And so Galatians chapter 6 and verses 9 and 10, it says, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, especially to those who belong to the family of believers." at times we become tired and we get worn out. We don't just want to have to deal with any of it anymore. And the world, especially, it wears us down. And if we don't feel like we're seeing the results that we should see, or if we don't feel like we're where we should be, then it's especially wearing on us. But that passage in Galatians, it offers encouragement for when this happens. It tells us that at the proper time we'll see that reward. We will reap that harvest. But the thing is, if we cannot give up on the way to that reward, and this doesn't mean that we should be working to expect a reward from God. That's not what it's about. Rather, what we should be doing is giving our whole heart and our whole selves to God so that we can achieve that reward. Because it's because of Him who gives His love to us that we have this opportunity to begin with. And we know that God is going to use our work to create a harvest in His time. And not necessarily in ours. You have an opportunity now to answer the gospel call to put on Christ in baptism. If you've not done so, if you have put on Christ in baptism, if you've not walked the walk that you should, if you've not done the work, you have an opportunity now to have that forgiven. Whatever you need, please come now together and stand.
988, all three verses. When the Savior calls, I will answer. When He calls for me, I will hear. When the Savior calls, I will answer. I'll be somewhere listening for my name. I'll be somewhere listening. I'll be somewhere listening. I'll be somewhere listening for my name. I'll be somewhere listening. I'll be somewhere listening. I'll be somewhere listening for my name. If my heart is right when He calls me, if my heart is right, I will hear. If my heart is right when He calls me, I'll be somewhere listening for my name. I'll be somewhere listening, I'll be somewhere listening, I'll be somewhere listening for my name. I'll be somewhere listening, I'll be somewhere listening, I'll be somewhere listening for my name. If my robe is white when He calls me, if my robe is white, I will hear. If my robe is white when He calls me, I'll be somewhere listening for my name. I'll be somewhere listening, I'll be somewhere listening, I'll be somewhere listening for my name. I'll be somewhere listening, I'll be somewhere listening, I'll be somewhere listening for my name. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. You're visiting with us, you're an honored guest. Ask you to come back anytime you can. Don't forget that Sundays are first Sunday dinner. And I know all of y'all know somebody you could add invite to church Sunday. They can come and fellowship with us. All right. Got anything else? Bobby, got something?
Our Heavenly Father, again, we come thanking You for this another day of our lives. We're so thankful for the many blessings. We know that all good things in this life come from Thee and Thee alone. Thankful for the opportunity You've given us tonight to be able to come together, sing these songs of praise, and to hear and study Your holy and divine word. I pray, Heavenly Father, for the families of all of those in Texas that have lost loved ones tonight. I pray that You would look down upon them, that You would strengthen them and comfort them during their time of sorrow. I pray, Heavenly Father, for all of those that we mentioned here tonight that's on our sick bed, and we mention each week. I pray especially for Gloria Green Hall, who will be undergoing surgery tomorrow. I pray that you will bless her, that you will guide the hands of those that will be administered to her. And I pray if it be thy will that she can have a speedy recovery. I pray, Heavenly Father, for the church around the world. I pray for those that are working in the mission field to help spread the gospel. I pray that you will watch over them, keep them safe, as many of them are in places that puts them in harm's way. And I pray, Heavenly Father, that with their efforts and your blessing, the souls be won into thy service. I pray also, Heavenly Father, for our upcoming VBS. I pray that each of us will strive to the best of our ability to help spread the word. And I pray also that if it be thy will, that we can be successful and we'll be able to help spread thy word as well. I pray, Heavenly Father, that you'll go with us now as we go to our homes and respective places, that you'll watch over us, that you